Over the course of the passage, Sandeep comes to view the adults as blank. As always, I've covered the choices so that we can come to our own conclusions and make predictions about what we think the answer is going to be. Now, when I did the question survey step, I underlined the name Sandeep and the word view, and I scribbled POV for point of view, because this is a point of view question. Sandeep is the narrator of this passage, and so we want to get an insight as to what he thinks of the adults. So, how does he view the adults? Let's go back to the text and look. Let's see if there are strong opinion words that stick out. And let's just look over the entire passage. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to let it wash over me, and I am going to look for words that suggest strong opinions held by Sandeep. Okay? And indeed, I'm just going to skim through here because the first paragraph talks about the boys playing carom, and then this is all just reported dialogue. An old man waiting on the veranda. Okay, the old man was oblivious to moths. That's sort of an opinion adjective used by Sandeep. Not especially strong, though, because he's talking about the guy doesn't notice the moths because he's so interested in the car. That's less of a judgment and more of just a neutral observation. Here's narration talking about how everything was quiet except for the sound of the car, which is why they came out. Here we are at line 30. This is the description of the yogurts and sweetmeats scene. And here we start to get this impression of what Sandeep thinks of these elders, right? We have this whole exchange about how, it's just yogurt and candy, but they're behaving as though they're passing a diamond back and forth. It was nothing, of course, right? Sandeep says. And here's the foot-touching sequence, right? Here's New India over here at line 46, and here's Old India here at line 52 and 55. Sandeep, meanwhile, had come to the conclusion that the grown-ups were mad, each after his or her own fashion. This seems like a very obvious statement of point of view here, to me, which is that he's convinced that the grown-ups are mad. And here, mad is being used not to mean angry, but to mean silly or crazy or loony. Simple situations were turned into complex, dramatic ones. Not until then did everyone feel important and happy. Will they never grow up, thought Sandeep irately. I feel like this kind of encapsulates all of it. He's irritated with them because he thinks they're children. The young one thinks that the elders are being like silly little children who have not yet grown up. Will they never grow up? I think that's my lodestar. I'm going to hold on to that and see if I can test the idea that Sandeep thinks that the grown-ups are like children against our choices. So let's return to the question, because I feel quite confident. Over the course of the passage, Sandeep comes to view the adults as what? All right, so I'm going to be testing these things against childish. So he comes to view the adults as strict. No. Reserved being like quiet or polite. They are polite. That's true, but that doesn't match my impression of what Sandeep's point of view is. That he thinks that they're like children. Sophisticated means fancy and mature. I'm going to say no, and that leaves us with immature, which is another word for saying childish. So that was my prediction. It matches my understanding of Sandeep's point of view. And I brought that prediction back to the choices. This question seems especially difficult to me because it requires you to look for specific textual evidence across the entire passage. So if it were up to me, I would leave a question like this for last and see if any insights come to me while I'm working on other questions. That's just me. Your time management style may differ on test day.